Well, hi, welcome back to TSW Workshop. Today we're going to make another outdoor project. It's going to be a bench swing. Everybody likes to sit around the fire and swing and have their drink. So what we'll do is we'll make some templates similar to what we did for the Adirondack chair, and then we'll make this up and put it together. So stay tuned. Thanks. So we are going to do the same thing we did with the Adirondack chair. We're going to make the templates and then we're going to make the project. So the templates that we're going to make kind of match up with this. And if you click the link, there's a PDF that you can download and then you can cut out. And it comes out to, I don't know how, about 8 sheets or so of paper. And if you just lay them out, they're all numbered. You can set it up, and there's little triangles to match up all the pieces of paper. So that way you can line them up just right and tape them together and then cut them out. All right, so now I have all the paper pieces cut up, and what I'll do is I'll tape them onto trace them out on a piece of hardboard, and then I'll cut them out, and then I'll shape them to this size. I'll just do that for all of them. All right, so now I have everything cut and pretty much laid where I want them. I cut the center ones to the proper length, and all the other pieces I have cut to the approximate length. On the back piece, I'm actually going to cut this angle here while it's still square, so I have a nice straight edge. It's actually 15 degrees. I used a protractor, but you could also use a bevel gauge to figure out what that is supposed to be set at. So if I take this and put it against here and then lock it down, I can take it over to my sliding miter and set it against there and bring my blade to that angle. And you don't have to know exactly what that angle is, you just have to match it to the bevel gauge. All right, now that I have all the pieces kind of rough cut just to leave the line, I'm going to take them over to the spindle sander and bring them so they're all a nice smooth edge and they match each other. On all the pieces that are going to be a specific length, I already cut those to length. So one's like 16 inches and the other one's like 17 and a half. But all those pieces I cut to the specific length so that way it's already standardized. On this piece I did cut at the table saw to get a consistent width of the kind of the back, one of the back support pieces. So we'll go over to the spindle sander and then size these up. I'm going to tape the paper templates onto there first, and then I'll use those to sand to the line. I then took 2 pieces of cedar and laminated those together and then let that dry, and then took that to the joiner and squared up an edge, ran it through the planer, and made a nice square piece. All right, so I have all the templates drawn onto the cedar that I had glued up. And what I'll do is I'll take them over to the bandsaw and then split them all up. This one I'm just going to split and then I'll finish it off at the table saw. But the other ones with the rounded edges, I'll complete at the bandsaw, and then we'll put the templates back on and router them. All right, so now we have our hardboard templates, and what I'm going to do is use some double-side tape and hold those onto those and take those over to the router table. So I adjusted the height so the router bearing rides right along that template. I didn't lock it down, so I had to adjust it a couple times because it tended to drift a little lower, and I wanted a nice clean cut, because the better job I do here, the easier job I'll have with the spindle sander. And the main thing is take your time, because it's so easy to get tear out, especially at the ends. And I did a climbing cut on the ends so that way I minimize the tear out on the ends. All right, so now we have all our pieces for the sides. We're not going to worry about left and right just yet, because I always end up getting confused and then I cut the wrong side. So I'm going to leave them both the same. We'll do the little final finish edges after we have it together, so that way we don't mess it up. But the pieces should go together fairly well by now. And oh, one more thing I got to do. Just got to cut the this at a 15-degree angle as well. So we'll just go over to the miter saw, and we'll do both at the same time, so that that way they're equal. Yeah, I think it'll go together nicely. So what I'll do is you can join these with either dowel rods. You can, if you have a self-centering doweling jig. I have a domino joiner, so that's what I'm going to use. All right, well, I've had the mortises made in everything except for the arms. So what I'm going to do is take some of the loose tenons, the dominoes, and put them in there so that that way I can mark for where the mortises for the arms go. Now for a little bit of a dry fit, making sure everything goes together nicely so that if I need to tweak anything just a little bit, I'm able to do it before I have any glue on the piece. There we go. One side pretty much done. Just got to take it apart, glue it, a little sanding, a little fine finish work, and we'll put the other side together as well. Now I took the pieces over to the router table and rounded over the edges, taking care not to router over areas where two pieces come together. Here's a spot where I made the mistake of doing that, but it's towards the inside, so it'll be hidden. All right, so we have those glued up. The sides are. Next, I'm going to turn my attention to the center curved pieces. Now, I'm going to make them square to start with because I'm going to make tenons on each end. It's going to be much easier if I make those tenons while everything's still nice and square. So these are going to be like 2 3/4 inches high, and the other ones are like 1 7/8 inches high. The middle pieces are not actually going to have any tenons on them, so those are going to be a little shorter. I made each of these this exact same length. I just varied the length of the tenons so that way I can just have consistency and not make as many mistakes. So we'll go to the table saw and get those to the rough sizes, and then we'll make the tenons on those. All right, now I have this set up so it's the right width for my mortise and the right length of a tenon as well. One's going to be 3/8 of an inch, the other's going to be a 3/4 of an inch tenon. So I'll go ahead and make those right now. And when I push these through, I push it through, rotate it 180 degrees, rotate it 90, and then rotate it 180 degrees. That way I get a nice even shoulder the whole way around. All right, now that I have the tenons made on the end of these, I can do the exact same thing I did with the other pieces and trace the pattern onto these and then use the bandsaw and then router them. So I'll just go ahead and do that off screen. All right, next you have to determine how wide you want your seat to be. And what I'd recommend is actually hopping online, seeing what's a readily accessible seat cushion, because some of the seat cushions are kind of an odd size. So if you find a seat cushion that works with your bench, then you can just make it exactly to that size. So depending on that, then you'll space these out and then cut the stretchers to the proper length so that way you can have equal length between all the stretchers in between. And we're going to do that now. All right, now I'm over at the mortiser. I'm going to make the mortises for all the back slats. And the back piece is actually cut at 13 degrees. So I made a little spacer to slide in there so that way it'll keep me against the fence, but it'll also give me some support so that way those mortises can be at a 13-degree angle. The top piece is going to be at 90 degrees, so I don't need to do that, but I'll go ahead and make these. All right, so now that we have those mortises made, I can make that curve for the back. And what I'll do is just do a gentle curve. I drew up a little cardboard template so that way I can just lay it out and then use the bandsaw to cut it out and then round it over or smooth it out with the spindle sander. And then since it was such a large arc, I decided to just use a random orbital sander and or belt sander to kind of get a nice even curve on that. All right, so now we're going to make some key marks. One of the marks is going to be in the back because there's going to be 3/4 inch slats, seat slats that are sitting right here. So I'm going to put a square line over to the end of here and then come up 3/4 an inch. And that's where I'm going to put the top of this board so that way it sits and it runs right along the same height as the seat slats. On the front though, the stretcher that's going across, that actually has to sit the same height as here. So I'll make a mark so that way this is the exact same height as the stretcher going across is the same height as the seat slats, because there's going to be a seat slat that goes across that one as well. Next, I had to make the mortises in the ends of each of the stretchers, so I used the domino again to make those. All right, next thing I got to do is we got to make the back slats. So I need to know how long they need to be. And so I'm going to dry fit the back pieces. Then I'll measure the distance between these, which ends up being 13 3/4, and I'm going to add 3/8 of an inch for each of the tenons. So be what, 14 and a half. So, and I'm going to make those 1/2 inches wide, and then I'll kind of size them to the mortises. Right, I have to apologize. I made a mistake. And it's not anything that's detrimental, but when I drew up the plans, I included the piece that's actually made here. So I have 2 extra pieces, but this has the tenons involved so that way, if you make this without a domino or however you want to join it, that you have the length for the tenons available. So we'll set those to the side, maybe for a next project. Then I did a glue up of all the pieces thus far, and I made the back slats with the same tenon techniques as the other tenons. Then I made a 3/4 inch bed of slats for the seat, set those in, and then put a little clamp on there, tipped it up, and then I screwed everything from the bottom. I drilled some pilot holes beforehand and then just screwed it with screws to hold the seat on from the bottom. Well, that's pretty much it. Just drill some holes for some eye bolts, hook on some rope, and then you can sit back and have a drink with your friends and enjoy. Thanks for watching.